part of the team with Danny and the others. But for any hosts watching, for the properties in your area that you would be looking after, what's the perfect property for you? What's working well, and what would be an amazing, if you got a lead and got a new property listed, where do you think you could add the maximum amount of value? What's the property look like? And then we'll maybe explore the type of host that you would like to work with.
Yeah, sure. I mean, London is enormous. It's its own beast in itself. For me, my personal love is Southwest London. Love Southwest London into Surrey. I think we're, aiming more towards slightly higher end, I suppose. The rents are sky high in London, but the return is much greater. So, you need to have the quality there. You need to really really think about what you're doing. You need to have what's the niche, what is going to attract the guests to stay at your property, what's going to set you aside, because there is so much competition out there. So without having that little unique twist or something different that you can offer, it's a bit sink or swim in London. So yeah, slightly higher end property, around, where we are, Southwest London is perfect for us.
Lovely. And we're breaking it down into kind of three main categories of the kind of classic Airbnb leisure tourism market, and the kind of south of Surrey. You're going to get there's some beautiful parts of the world there. So let's start with the holiday homes and some areas of outstanding natural beauty there. Am I right? So some great areas. If we're going a little bit more to the country, classic holiday homes, would they work there?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're so lucky where we are, because we are just on the brink of being direct link into central London. But then if you come, slightly out, you've got Surrey, beautiful Surrey countryside to the side of you. I mean, I was just chatting to a friend this morning about they've taken on some big barns in the Surrey countryside. I mean, it's a completely different demographic. You're targeting more sort of those, family leisure stays, as opposed to, I've got a block of apartments in Staines, and they're predominantly sort of contractor based. So you can be literally within half an hour, and it can be completely different target market.
Definitely. So that takes us on nicely. So lovely holiday, the classic Airbnb. People might have used sites and cottages.com, and again, we can't speak to what other companies do, only what we do. But Danny is going to be round the corner from a lot of these properties. In some instances, they're a few minutes drive away, but within that radius, your value here is you're going to go to these properties. You're not a remote property manager. We're not a company that's just outsourcing things, maximizing profit by having Philippines and the VAs answering calls and listing properties that don't speak English. And again, it's a different business model. But our business model is people like you, and you're going to go and visit these properties and actually make sure that get them set up. We'll cover that in the next thing. But you're local to these properties, and you're going to be working direct with the owners for these, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm my own worst enemy because I can't keep away. So sometimes I do just have to rein it in myself and say, let it run. But to be able to, if I need to be there, I can jump in the car and I'm there. I can see what's going on. I can explain to the guests firsthand because I've been there. How can it's very difficult to explain something when you haven't been there and you don't know what's going on. I mean, it's invaluable, to be honest.
Yeah, and there's evenings and weekends kind of call cover. So any emergencies and things, you don't need to be on call on the mobile 24/7. But your communications with guests is much better to, I've been to that property, to explain it, to help guests have a great customer experience when they come. And I think that's what I've always wanted, is people passionate about their area. Because again, you don't get paid if your host properties don't let. You're going to get a nice barn conversion. If that doesn't get bookings, you don't earn any money. So it's a link of you're only successful when your hosts are successful. So I say it's the most noble types of business out there. We mentioned stains and contractors, so we've got some lovely kind of Airbnb classic holiday homes. Hopefully some larger properties. Definitely get in touch with Danny for that. But we lots of properties, and I remember some of the challenges, I'm going to admit, some of the challenges, if not all of the challenges Danny's had is the properties that she may have been given by me. And we did take a lot of blocks of apartments, and we actually turned down 300 in your area. So it's about 7 different blocks all in all. And these ones are actually right next to Heathrow. They're in Staines, but that's predominantly contractor let, so that's near Heathrow, and there's lots of industry and stuff around there. So contractor type properties, that falls into your radius as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed slightly in the fact of, contractors, they don't all they don't all want to be bunged in a short, a small space and whatnot. They still want that element of luxury to a degree. So having the bed space, having those little touches that make them feel comfortable. Sometimes they do want their own bathroom space, and it's becoming more of a there's more of a demand there now for it. And especially it's not just the property. You could have the perfect property, but it's not the right area for who you're targeting, then it's not gonna work. It's a marriage of both of those things in harmony. So
definitely. And again, think the Staines property is an underground car park, so people can park their van. But I remember being in Luton, Mohan Temde in Luton, and doing some training with a property manager, and he was terrified leaving his van outside to do in-person training, because driving the van in to some areas for contractors, well, there's now these zones, and it charges them money. They're leaving their vans overnight, and they're scared about the tools, and it costs money for parking. So there's a different skill set that you employ for contractors and in the leisure market as well.
Mm-hmm.
So last little thing here, and it's a great match, one of the best market. And if you speak to anybody looking to get into service accommodation, they say, yes, I'll do it. Can you get me contractor lets? So can you longer term ones? Emma's, I think we've got the BBC, we've got sports teams, we've got film production companies, bank managers, doctors for the NHS, lots of contracts across the UK for lots of different things. But we're looking at the London market, where you may be within the M25, and everybody's a little bit apprehensive and scared of the 90-day rule. But if we get long-term corporate lets, there's some beautiful properties in regions in your area where we could, if we get the right property, get long-term corporates and executive lets as well.
Yeah.
They work really well because definitely for you, lots of work at the front end from us and the local property managers to build these connections. They don't come out of anywhere. They need to find them. You can get leisure guests by putting it on Airbnb, Booking.com, etc., and people come to you. But the team, you need to work really hard to secure those contractor and corporate lets. So kudos to the team there. Right, we've spoken about property management, but you guys do a hell of a lot more than that. We take empty units from blank canvases and create hands-off businesses. You can source properties. Let everybody know all the other things that you do within Pillar. Let's talk about Mitch's business as well, and see if we can help get him some work. So there's property setup, sourcing, feasibility studies. Just tell us all the other things you do apart from the creating the business part and managing.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the very end final result, isn't it? So, the ultimate, I mean, for me personally, this is something that I enjoy, but being able to have that empty shell, you've got a property, it might be a little bit tired, but, you can do the, income projections, feasibility studies to be able to, plan, put in place and see the result of those refurbishment works is something that we really enjoy. I mean, we're lucky in the sense that Mitch has got the knowledge and the contracts and the trade to be able to put that in place and be able to see a project through from start to finish. And he also is the director and owner of his own passive fire protection and fire company, which, with the regulations changing and things, our refurb in January, it's great to be able to go, can you do all the fire doors? Can you make sure everything's, as it should be? Because it's, best safety is paramount. So there's a lot that goes into this, but actually a lot that we can offer. So, bring the property, we can do everything from start to finish, and you can step back. I mean, it's ultimately, I think, what a lot of property owners are probably looking for.
Fantastic. Yeah, they don't want to be setting properties up, going to IKEA, dressing properties. You can organise that. You've got all the tradesmen as well, all the local contractors.
Yeah.
I think the team have got the best value. Not always the best price. It's not about price. It's about value. But you're going to hand select the people like the cleaners, the maintenance people, get the properties ready to go. And one final thing, I rely on all my property managers for that local knowledge. And we've spoke about that from a guest point of view. You guys are going to be able to give, take the Elizabeth line out to Reading, all these little things that I would never know, and they probably would never know. Restaurant recommendations. But for investors looking at that area, that may say, well, I want to invest in London. It's a stable market. It's probably one of the most solid real estate investment opportunities in the world. It's always going to be steady, a nice stable political climate. You may not believe it, but compared to other parts of the world, viewers, London is just seen as an amazing investment. I would not know where to do it. If you ask me, if I could get you a classic holiday home in the Lake District or over Whitby or Filey or these types of areas, but people that are thinking about getting into London, you can help them source the right property as well, and make sure that they're not buying something that's not going to work.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if I was going to invest down there, I would happily pay you a good fee to make sure that that's done right, because you also doing some feasibility stuff as well. So if somebody has a property, it's nice and simple concept to take a property that exists and do that. But if somebody's thinking about getting a property in your area and maybe they've got a right move listing, you can give them some advice around whether that would work and how to transform that.